Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Canada's International Development Research Centre. Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue au CRDI.
Good afternoon. Welcome to IDRC.
I'm Vice President for Corporate Strategy here at IDRC, and it's my great pleasure to be your host this afternoon for this, what promises to be a wonderful lecture by Professor Muhammad Yunus of Bangladesh. Before I give the formal introduction of Professor Yunus, should go through a couple of logistical announcements. As you may have guessed by the presence of these gentlemen at the back of the room, the press are amongst us, and this event is being webcast to the whole wide world. So if you do choose at the end of Professor Yunus's talk to stand up and ask a question, your image goes all around the world. You too will have your 15 minutes of fame. Notre conférencier cet après-midi prononcera sa parole.
Our speaker will speak in English, of course. For those of you who prefer Molière's language rather than Shakespeare's language, a simultaneous interpretation service is available. You have devices that are available at the end of the room if you need them.
Our speaker today is continuing IDRC's tradition of having speakers of renown. That's the name of the speaker series. It's part of IDRC's 40th anniversary. We're celebrating 40 years of existence here at Canada's International Development Research Centre. And to help us celebrate, we're bringing some of the leading minds of the world who are thought leaders and practice leaders on development, bringing them here for a series of public lectures. They are a very distinguished series of speakers, and Muhammad Yunus is, of course, one of them. He is, as you all know, I think, the managing director of the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. He is arguably one of the fathers of the notion of social enterprise, arguably the father of microfinance, and that's going to be the topic of his speech, microcredit and social business for a poverty-free world. He's been at this business since the mid-1970s. He holds a PhD in economics from Vanderbilt University in the United States. He's been managing director of Grameen Bank since 1983, project director for the Grameen Bank project for 7 years before that, professor of economics at Chittagong University in Bangladesh before that, and also the founder and managing director of the Grameen Trust, and of several other organizations. He is the holder of the World Food Prize, the Nobel Peace Prize, Rabindranath Tagore Birth Centenary Plaque, Global Citizen of the Year Award, the Economist Innovation Award, ... Some of us pad our CVs. This is not a padded CV, and it goes on for 20 pages of honors and awards, all richly deserved. He has honorary degrees from several universities, most notably from Carleton University in Ottawa, which he got yesterday, so congratulations. That's the fresh one, but others come from University of Toronto, Yale, Warwick, Université Catholique de Louvain, University of Natal, University of Dhaka, American University of Beirut, etc., etc., etc. He's the author of 3 books, Banker to the Poor, Creating a World Without Poverty, and Building Social Business. So it is with great pleasure that I present to you Professor Muhammad Yunus. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your very warm introduction. I will try to go over quickly about the microfinance part and try to use some time on the social business part and leave plenty of room for interaction. I think that's the best way to do that. But I see this room is so stretched out. I hardly can see what's happening on the other side. First, the microcredit part, that, and I was just mentioning to Dr. Monroe that they're celebrating the 40th anniversary of their birth. First, congratulations for happy anniversary. That IDRC is as old as Bangladesh. We are born in the same year, 1970. 1971, to be precise, in terms of Bangladesh. We became independent country coming out of Bangladesh. And I was teaching at an American university at that time when this whole liberation war was going on in Bangladesh, trying to build up support for cause of independent Bangladesh coming out of Pakistan. So as soon as Bangladesh became an independent country at the end of 1971, in December, I resigned from my job and decided this is time to go. So I went back to Bangladesh. And you go through a lot of euphoria when you go through liberation wars. You feel that when this is over, your side is winning, you will have a wonderful country that you'll build according to the images of your dream, and everything will be so glorious after that. But the dreams turn into nightmares very quickly after you've gone through that. So when I went back, we were just at the starting phase of our nightmare. That nightmare came to the height when the country ran into famine. So if you recollect, 1974, Bangladesh had a terrible famine in the country. People were dying. And here I am, a young economics teacher, fresh with an American degree, with the arrogance of the degree. I know everything about economics. And you feel totally useless in the face of the problem that you see around yourself. Textbook is fine, classroom is elegant, theories, everything's so beautiful, students are so curious to learn. You get out of the classroom and you feel you face the stark reality of life. People are dying of hunger all around you. So that's not a very pleasant time to teach economics. And soon I started feeling, I'm sure like me, many others started feeling, how useless this economics is, because it cannot solve the problem that you see right in front of your eyes. So elegant theories these are just these beautiful stories they build up, put it in the book for the kids to learn, the bedtime stories. So I thought instead of agonizing inside of me, I should get out of this situation and try to get my incarnation of a human being back as just another human being, not economist, not this, not that, to stand next to another human being. See if I can be of some use to another person who is in dire need. So that made my ambition very simple. All I wanted to do is to feel that I'm useful to another person, even for a day. So to find another person to do that was not difficult, because the university where I was teaching is surrounded by village. So I could just walk out of the boundary of the campus and be in the village, be with the real people with real problems. So I tried to do tiny little things every day. And as we went along, I felt a little better, that at least I'm doing something rather than burning inside of me. But then I started feeling that I'm learning a lot, which I never learned before in my textbooks, in my classrooms, wherever I've done, about people and their lives. And the village sort of became my university, because these are things that I have never seen before, never heard before. And one aspect kind of drew me into it. This is the loan sharking that goes on in the village. I had done many other things, but loan sharking has kept pulling me in that direction. How people suffer so much because they don't have this tiny little bit of money to carry on with their life. They have to go to the loan sharks, and loan sharks, they take control of their life and make them exhaust. And they squeeze them every drop of their blood by just connecting with this method of loan sharking. So I see concrete cases. It amazes me how it goes on and nobody does anything about it. So what I thought, I would try to understand it a little better if I know how many of the people are borrowing from these loan sharks in that village, how much money they are borrowing. So I took a student of mine and went around in the village several days to find this information. When my list was complete, there were 42 names on that list. And these 42 people in total borrowed $27. I couldn't believe that. You see, being an economist, you forget $27. You talk about billions. You talk about hundreds of millions. That's what the economists do anyway. So this is the first feeling that $27 can control the life of 42 people. And how this tiny little money can make so much misery for people. And nobody does a thing about it. And it's not a new problem. It's a problem for ages, for centuries. It goes on. And I was overwhelmed by the enormity of the problem. Suddenly it came to my mind, I can solve it. That's not a big deal. And the solution that came to my mind, why don't I lend this $27 from my pocket? Why this big deal about research and blah, blah? I just give this $27 according to the list, ask them to return the money to the loan sharks. If they return the money, loan sharks cannot come and touch them anymore because the link is snatched. I immediately did that. I didn't even give a second thought to it. And I thought, okay, I have done one more thing. I felt good about it. But I didn't realize what an impact it will make to the people. From that day on, people look at me when I go around the village as if I have done some miracle. I started kind of kidding with me by saying, if you can become an angel by lending $27, if you give another $27, maybe you will become a super angel. And I was thinking, if you can make so many people so happy with such a small amount of money, why shouldn't you do more of it? So that started haunting me. Why don't you do more of it? If it is so good, it costs so little. So I thought I could give more money from my pocket still. I can go with it. But I was looking for a kind of formal, more stable solution. I thought, okay, bank should do it. There's a bank right there in the campus. I go and explain to the manager, and he will definitely see this is a great opportunity to help people. So I went to the bank manager. See how innocent I was about banking? That's my starting point. Of course, the bank manager said, impossible. It cannot be done because bank cannot lend money to the poor people. So the more he tried to explain to me why it cannot be done, poor people are not creditworthy, it's not possible for a bank to lend the money. Anyway, what's the use of giving the money to the poor people? All kinds of things. I kept on insisting and insisting. No solution. So I went to the bigger guys and bigger officers of the banking system to talk to them. Everybody tell me the same thing. It went on for months. I don't give up. They don't give in. It goes on. Finally, I learned something about banking. For the first time, I'm learning now about banking. I said, why didn't you accept me as a guarantor? I'll sign every piece of paper you give me, and I take the risk. You give the money. And your rules allow that. So far, you're saying your rules don't allow the other thing. This allows you. So it took me another couple of months to go through that, pushing that idea. So this time, they agreed to accept that. I think on a kind of, on hindsight, they thought this is the best way to get rid of me. They will give some money which will never come back, and they'll say, okay, it's over. So I was very happy that they agreed. So I started signing all the kinds of papers they give me. I don't even read. You don't read the papers banks give anyway. So it's impossible for any sane person to read all this stuff. So you just sign. It's a small amount of money. So I give the money to the people, but I came up with the idea how to encourage them to pay back, because the whole thing relies on getting the money back. If it is not coming back, then it's not banking. And I was hoping that it will work out. And luckily, it worked. People paid back every single penny. I got very encouraged. I started doing that again, and I started expanding. But the more it became successful, the more the bank became reluctant. They were hoping that they will get rid of me. I'm getting more and more deep into it. They didn't like it at all. So seeing their reluctance and their expression of that reluctance in everyday work, I said, now I know it works. Why should I have to agree? Why should I have to convince him? Who is he to tell me what can be done and what cannot be done? I know what can be done. Why don't I create a separate bank? You know, one economics teacher talking about creating a bank, it doesn't make sense to anybody that I talk to. So I talked to the government official, I got to talk to the central bank. Everybody said, no, it's not possible. Why are you trying to make a bank out of it? There's plenty of bank. And all these people, the rich people borrowing from our banks, they don't pay back. Why are you creating another problem for us, giving loans to the poor people? So I said, well, that's good news. The rich people are not paying back. Worse comes to worse, poor people will not pay back either. What's wrong with it? Anyway, it took a lot of time. Finally, in 1983, we got the permission. We became a bank. That's the Grameen Bank, or Village Bank. And we gradually grew bigger and bigger. Today, we work all over Bangladesh. We have 8.3 million borrowers, mostly women. 97% of our borrowers women. We focused on poor women. And beginning from 1976, it's 34 years now in operation. It's a big bank. In number of client-wise, it's the largest bank in the country. But the special feature of that, it is owned by the poor people. It's not owned by the rich or anybody outside the bank. So it's owned by the poor women. And they are the ones who sit in the board, make decisions about the bank. So it works beautifully. And we lend out large chunks of money now. Initial loans will be something like $30, $40. And such an amazing experience for a woman who never handled money to have these $30 in her hand. She'll be shaking, she'll be trembling. Sometimes tears will roll down their eyes, not believing it's true. They're seeing all this money in their hand. They've never seen this money in one place before. Now she's holding it. This is her money now. And inside of her, she promises that she will bet her life, work very hard to make sure she pays this money back, because nobody trusted her for a penny. Now, this bank gave her an enormous amount of money, trusted her. That gave her a completely new perspective about her, that yes, I'm somebody that people can trust. And she actually works for that. And if you can multiply this over 8 million times, you know what Grameen Bank is all about. Today, we lend out over $100 million a month, over $1 billion a year. And all this money comes from within the system. We don't go out to borrow money. We don't go out to the government to give us money. We don't go to the international organization to give us money. It's all inside. It's very simple. Every branch of Grameen Bank has 2,600 branches. Every branch of Grameen Bank is required to take deposits from people. And people love to put their money in the safety of Grameen Bank, and they earn good interest on that. And we take this money and lend money to the poor people, as simple as that. And the task is you have to be a profitable branch within a year. So you have to pay for all those costs and everything, and the money is your money. It's not coming from outside, not from another branch or another office. It's your money, you do that. And the bank makes profit, profit goes back to the borrowers because they are the shareholders of the bank. So it's a complete circle that way. We continue with that, and gradually people move up the layers, $40 to $50, $100, $1,000, and so on. So this is the Grameen Bank and Microcredit. That idea has a spread now. It's a global phenomenon. Everybody understands what's microfinance, what's microcredit. And it works everywhere. People were challenging us. It don't work in the United States or some other rich countries. I said, well, let's give it a try. So after a lot of debate, finally, they challenged us to do it in the United States. We started a program in the United States in 2008, January, in New York City. So we brought our people from Bangladesh, 4 of them, to come to the United States to start the program. They were telling me, that we never been to the United States. We don't know how they do, what kind of people they are. I said, don't worry about that. People are people. You do exactly what you do in the villages of Bangladesh, you do in the city of New York. That's all. And they do exactly what they do in Bangladesh. And it worked out beautifully. Today, they have nearly 5,000 borrowers. Our first branch was in Queens. Second branch was in Brooklyn. Third branch was in Manhattan. And now the 4th branch in Bronx. And all these people, they are 100% women. And no collateral, no lawyers. We are the only bank in the world which is a lawyer-free bank. So it's we don't need them because there's nothing to be put on paper. It's in the kind of a contract. It's a verbal. It's a trust-based banking. It's a mutual. Because these are illiterate. These are all illiterate women anyway. So papers don't mean anything to them. So we built this up in a system like that. And the New York thing is working now. That is working there. So average loan is about $1,500 in New York City. And some people in Omaha became very interested. Said, would you come and do it in Omaha? We have so many poor people here. I said, you give us the money, we'll do the job. No problem. We go anywhere. So they said, okay, we'll give it the money. Whatever money you need to lend out. So we came there and started the program. That program is doing very good too also. So this is how it is spreading. We work in many other countries, in Latin American countries, European countries, Asian countries, and so on. So this is something going. And as you go with these poor women in the villages, meet them, talk to them, and the fantastic entrepreneurial ability that you see in them, those who were shaking in the beginning 20 years back, 15 years back, they are very successful businesswomen running business quite elaborate fashion. You come to the conclusion and again that poverty is not created by people. Poverty is not created by the poor people. It is artificially imposed on them. It is an external thing which is imposed on people. So this is not internal thing. So that makes a lot of difference. Because if you want to end poverty, sometimes you say, okay, we have to help her, we have to train her, we have to do this, and so on, so on, as if she is the cause of poverty. She is not. Poverty is coming from outside. For example, in this case, the explanation that I was giving, why did we create an institution which refuses to give money, financial services, to a great segment of global population? Not only half, it's more than half, probably 2/3 of the world population cannot access the service of the banking. And he created a world which needs money to get money. If you don't have money, you don't catch money. That first dollar, unless you have it, you cannot catch the next dollar. Nobody gives the first dollar. Only loan sharks give you the dollar. But they can take everything back and more. I thought loan sharking was very acute in Bangladesh and similar countries. I see in New York how loan sharking goes on. It goes on in a very systematic, very formal way. They call themselves payday lending. Everywhere. Interest rate, 500%, 1,000%, 1,500%. Nobody bets their eyelids. It goes on because it's not me, it's not you. Who cares if they have to pay 1,000% interest? And we pride ourselves about the beautiful banking system we have, most sophisticated. What kind of banking system is that? If people have to go to the loan sharks, pay 1,500% interest. If people have to go to the pawn shops, that shows how sick the system of banking is, that left all these people alone on their own. So someone asked me in New York when a journalist gathered to find out what is our ambition in New York City. It's what would you see? The question one journalist asked, how would you realize your objective is fulfilled in New York City? What will make it happen that you see the indication? I said, very simple. If Grameen is successful in New York City, I see there'll be no payday loans. There'll be no pawn shops. There'll be no check cashing companies. That's it. And then I say, yes, this is successful. We have eliminated those sickness that we had. That's it. So this is the whole institution, just one institution. You look for other institutions, you'll see the same thing. Then I started talking about also the conceptual part of it. Concepts also contains the seed of poverty. Seed of poverty is not in the person. Seed of poverty is in what we have built from our imagination, from our thinking process. And that's what we promote in our research institutions, in our academic circles, because these are the things that come from them. And they plant in the seed of poverty into those theories. And I said, look at the concept of business. One concept, just one concept. I said, economists assumed human beings are one-dimensional beings. All they do in business is make money. Nothing else. And there is only one kind of business they could think of. And so, in business, we are all busy making money, because that's what our theory says. All you do is make money. So theory has made us, make of us some kind of money-making machine. We are not money-making. Human beings are not money-making machine. Human beings are not robots. That's the distinction between a robot and a human being. We are multidimensional. We are not single-dimensional. We have selfishness in us. Also, we have selflessness in us. But the selfless part is not included in economics. If anybody wants to be selfless, they said, okay, you say goodbye to economics and become a philanthropist. Go and give your money. But within the economic world, you cannot do that. You have to make money. You have no other scope. To the extent that it's so spread out, when we send our children to school, we are encouraging them to work very hard. Get a good grade. Go to best school. Get the best certificate you can get, best degree you can get. To do what? To get the best job. So that when you work for a company, you give your life so the shareholders make a lot of money. I said, that doesn't look like an exciting life for me. I won't be slaving for some shareholders to make money. I want to make my own life. But that part is not allowed in economics. Economists tell you that not everybody is an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are a very special class of people. And ever since I started my work, I say all human beings are by birth entrepreneurs. It is part of being a human being. Nobody can take it away from me. So to tell some people are entrepreneurs, you're only misleading the people. If you don't see the entrepreneurial ability in one person, it's not because he or she doesn't have it. Simply, she has not been allowed by the society to discover it. She has a wonderful gift inside of her, but she doesn't know that she's carrying that gift. She never had an opportunity to peep into that gift, what she has, because society was so stingy that will not give it to her. If society allowed her, encouraged her to find her own gift, she would be as good as an entrepreneur as anybody else. And she will contribute enormously. But we have not done that. We have not allowed that. So I said, within the economic theory, the concept of business makes you a very narrow kind of human being make money. All these things based on selfishness. I said, fine, I'm not denying the selfishness in us. All human beings are selfish. But at the same time, you have to admit, all human beings are selfless beings at the same time. That coexists. It's not a separate thing. Some people are selfish, some people are selfless. No. Every human being is a bundle made of selfishness and selflessness. In some occasion, I show selfishness. In some occasions, we show our selflessness. But that's what the human. And there are many other kind of dimension to it. But let's concentrate on these two. I said, if that is true, why don't we build a business on the basis of selflessness? In a selfish business, everything is for me, nothing for others. So I'm grabbing everything. I'm trying to make the best of it. And selflessness is the other one. Everything is for others, nothing for me. By decision, not because somebody forced me to deny myself. I said, I don't need it. All I want to do this for others. That's a selfless business. When I started talking about it and doing, people say, this is crazy. This thing will never fly. I said, I'm just explaining what it is, see if it makes sense. Nobody paid much attention to it. Then I started, then suddenly it happened that I created a joint venture with a big company, Danone. It's a joint venture called Grameen Danone Company. Danone makes good yogurt. So we said, okay, let's do a social business. And I made it very clear to the owners and also the executives of Danone that you'll never get any profit out of this company. Company will make profit, but you'll never take this profit because it's a social business. It's dedicated to solve a problem. And the problem that we have designed for you is to address the malnutrition among the children of Bangladesh. Bangladesh has some 160 million people. The children are malnourished. Half the children are malnourished. So we thought if we put all the micronutrients in this yogurt, make it very cheap, and let the children eat it, gradually they will get their micronutrition back and becomes a healthy child. So we studied, we got all the advice from the experts and so on, what will be the dosage and so on, put everything into the yogurt. In a normal case, if I'm doing it myself, nobody will eat this yogurt because it will smell like a terrible medicine. But it is the genius and the creativity of Danone. They know how to hide those tastes and make a very delicious one out of that. And children love it. So we are selling it. If a child eats 2 cups of yogurt within a week and continues it for 8 or 9 months, they get back all the micronutrients they're missing. Becomes a healthy, playful child. So this is the purpose of the company, not the purpose of making money for anybody. So that makes it a social business. I define sometimes by saying it's a non-loss, non-dividend company for solving a social problem. So that's the idea of social business. And now that we did it with the Danone, everybody said, oh, are they going crazy too? They know that they're not making money. Why are they doing it? And some people came up with bright ideas. Journalists started keeping me asking questions. Don't you think Danone is using you? They're just doing this business without money. In the process, they get $1 million of advertisement because everybody talks about Grameen Danone. So this is a big publicity for them. So they are using it deliberately. I said, oh my God, I didn't know that. I thought I'm using them. Nobody paid any attention to my social business. The moment they got involved, everybody now talks about social business. So I thought I'm using them. I said, anyway, maybe they're using me. I said, but let everybody know through your newspaper or television that I'm here to be used. Please use me. Anybody who wants to use me, I'll be very happy to be used if you want to do a social business with us. So many other companies now coming up. We have joint venture with BASF, which is a German company, huge chemical company, one of the oldest chemical company in the world. What we do, we produce mosquito nets. with chemically treated mosquito nets. If you use this mosquito net, mosquitoes do not come near you. If they do, they fall dead, they drop dead. So this is a good net, and we want to make it very cheap as a social business so that everybody can afford to have the bed, so that they don't expose themselves to malaria and dengue and all the diseases that we have. So that's a social business. We are not interested in making money. We are interested in making sure that people use it. So we have Grameen Adidas, shoe company. The challenge that I gave it to them when the CEO wanted to talk to me in his office, I said, look, why don't you start with a mission statement? He said, like what? I said, for you, maybe something like this. Nobody should go barefoot in the world. As a shoe company, it's our responsibility to make shoes affordable to even to the poorest person. He just looked at me, stared at me. We have to do that? He says, up to you. I said, but that's a big goal. I said, Adidas is a big company. So he took some hours talking among his colleagues. He said, I'll let you go around and visit our museums and so on. Let me talk to my colleagues whether they understand this and they can cope with this. So during the lunchtime, we got back again. So the CEO whispered into my ears, he said, my colleagues has asked me to ask you how cheap the shoes should be in order to be affordable to the poorest person. I said, well, I'm not in the shoe business, but let me guess, maybe you should try to make it under €1. He again looks at me. He said, you're a very tough man. I said, no, I'm not tough. The situation is tough, but you're a tough company. You can handle that. So they took a couple of hours more among themselves talking. At the end, they emerged from all this discussion and announced that they are going to do it. So that's about 2 years back. They have gone through many, many trips to Bangladesh, talking to women, talking to children, what kind of shoes they want, what blah, blah, blah. Any company would do, how to design, how to control the cost, and so on. Now they are ready to market it. And this, probably this month or soon, we'll do that. So this is a series of social business that we are doing. So we have Japanese company, Uniqlo, joint venture with Uniqlo as a social business. I'm sure soon we'll have a Canadian company to do it. Is there anybody from business? It's an exciting world. You'll love it. So now I'm coming from Miami. We organized a meeting of the business people there. Our interest is Haiti. Because when Haiti earthquake happened and everybody's pouring in money for Haiti, I was so happy that people are responding so warmly for distressed people. But the more money came, the more I got worried. When I was in Davos, there was a little discussion meeting in Davos, and I was talking to them in the discussion. I said, I'm very worried about this money because this money may not be used properly, because Haiti doesn't have a structure, doesn't have a system, and this money will be wasted. People will put it in their pockets. It'll be rotting someplace. So they said, what should we do? I said, one way you can do, ask everybody where they're putting their money or resources to put 10% of that money into a fund called Social Business Fund, so that people can take this money to start social businesses to solve employment problem, this problem, that problem, and everything else. And at the end of it, people said, yeah, that's a good idea. We should do it. Would you like to create one? I said, okay, if you want to do that, I'll announce it. So I announced it. We are creating a social business fund for Haiti. And many people responded to it. So now we are starting the work in Haiti. So we called all the business people to see who will be interested to partner with us to do employment generation work, transportation, housing, as a social business. You don't make any money out of it, but you solve the people's problem in a business way, meaning money has to come back. So it recycles. The difference between donation and social business is, in donation, money goes and gets the job done, very good job, but money never comes back. If you can convert this into a business, social business, then money goes out, does the job, and comes back again. And you can use it again. In a donor money, in a donation, When you're done, you wait for another money to come so that you can do it again. So many of the NGOs who are doing this kind of work, they have experience. Every year they're going around to find money. They spend half their time raising money, or 80% of their time raising money, and 20% of their time doing the work, because it's such a tough job. So I said, if you can convert this into social business, you don't have to go to anywhere, because it goes on running, and you keep running. It's become more efficient, and you can, if you can generate some surplus, you can expand even. So this is the whole idea. So Haiti will be our next big area where we'll be working. I was approached by the governor of Caldas province in Colombia. It's a disaster province. I don't know if you're familiar with Caldas. Caldas is the heartland of Colombian coffee. All the Colombian coffee has reigned supreme in the whole world for many, many decades. Now, empty. Nobody wants Colombian coffee. See if you check if you find any Colombian coffee. Because Vietnam has taken over, other Asian countries taken over. They never grew coffee, but when they came in, they're better than Colombian coffee. So they lost the market. So people are sitting around not knowing what they will be doing. So the governor came to me, please help us. Our people are so poor, they need some help. You give me idea how to do that. So I said, oh, okay. If you agree, we'll start with social business. We'll create many social businesses in many different sectors, in agriculture, in businesses, in marketing, and everything else, and address the problems that you face. Said our young people are getting into drug production. Our girls are becoming prostitutes. It's a big problem for us. I'm sorry that I became the governor of such a province, but I said, you shouldn't be sorry. You should feel good that you have got the opportunity to do that. So we are working in Caldas also. Albania is a state, is a country which comes to me and said, well, we are the poor country in Europe. Nobody notices us because we are in Europe. They think everybody is fine in Europe. We are not. We have lots of poor people in here, Albania. Please help us to change the situation of poverty and so on. So we went to, again, with the social business ideas and how to build those things anyway. So these are the things. People tell me, what can you do in a rich country? Is there any scope for social business here? So my counter question is, do you have any problem? So, yeah, we have some problem. So what are your problems? They'll start all these financial system problem of unemployment. People get scared if you have a 5% to 6%, 6% to 7% unemployment problem, welfare problem, old age problem, drug problem, crime problem. I said, you got a lot of them. So why don't you create social business for each one of them? I said, one good start would be, why don't you create a small social business to take 10 people out of welfare? A business to take people out of welfare. If you can be successful, and I'm sure it will be very easy to do that, if you can create that opportunity for people to have a dignified life for themselves out of welfare, only 10 people. If you have done that, demonstrated it's a lovely life, it doesn't cost anybody to do anything, and they are running this business in a beautiful way, you have a social business going. What you have done in the process, you created a seed, a miracle seed. All we have to do now, take this miracle seed and plant them all over so that nobody will be in welfare anymore. So this will be gone, goodbye. It's possible. It's all question of using creative mind, that's all, nothing else. As long as you remain on charity, it will get worse. I was in Glasgow recently and was talking to the university people. I love to talk to the university people because all the problem begins there. So I talked to them, and they were saying, you know, we have a lot of problem in Glasgow. And I said, tell me what it is. So somebody stood up and said, our biggest problem is we have several thousand families in Glasgow City. Glasgow City is a small city, it's not a big city. We have several thousand families in Glasgow City who are in 4th generation unemployment. 4th generation. I was shocked, literally I was shocked. I couldn't expect that something like that exists in a rich country. I said, how come? What happened? Because they are on welfare. They continued from one generation to next generation to next generation. I said, don't you do something about it? I said, we tried as a university, best thing we can do, train them, send them to jobs. We took fourth generation young people to get them out of welfare, train them, send them to jobs. Few months later, we find out they're not in the job. They're back on what they used to be, enjoying themselves because they don't like it. I said, is this the end of it? He said, we have no other idea. I said, why don't you create something else? Create social businesses, get them involved in it, get them excited about it. So I gave a lot of ideas, lots of things. In the process, now recently, together, we have created what is called Grameen Scotland. Our idea is we want to take all these people out of welfare so that they become active citizens themselves. It will be a slow process. Over time, nothing will, don't see in 1 year everything is changed. In 1 year, if you take 10 people out of it, we have the first process begin. And then it becomes easier and easier, easier. So we create all those opportunities. We have a social business on environment. We sell solar home system in Bangladesh. In the beginning, about 15 years back when we were doing that, selling solar home system, it is crazy. Nobody will buy solar home system in this country. So expensive. I said, people, if they need it, they will come around it. And if you make it easy for them, they will do it. So our aim was to reach 100 solar home system per month. So that if we can sell 100 solar home system per month, we'll be so delighted. Finally, we did it. So selling 2 solar system, 5 solar home system per month. And finally, one day, we did 100 solar home system. We were so happy. Today, we sell over 1,000 solar home system per day. So, see, initially it's slow, but once you get going, it becomes bigger and bigger. Today, I'm telling you 1,000 solar home system per day. Next year, if I come back, it will be another phenomenal figure. I said, I can do solar home system for every home in Bangladesh. They need it, they want it. Simply, we cannot provide it. Because still the solar panel cost is high. It's $2 to $3 per watt. I said, if solar panel cost someday goes down, because all technology is making cheaper and cheaper product, but this one is stuck. It's not coming down. Somehow it gets out of it and becomes $1.50 per watt. I said, everybody will be rushing to get their solar home system because there's no electricity in Bangladesh. This is the only way out. So we can provide all this. We can take care of the old. We can take care of others in a social business format. If you ask me, how do you do that? I cannot give you immediate answer. But if you sit down, if you spend a whole day together, we can find 15 different solutions to the same problem. And each one will be better than others. This is the whole idea, that we can generate that. So if you can create an economy where 2 kinds of businesses at the same time, one is making money, one is changing the world. Young people love it because they feel frustrated. What are we going to do? Just work for the company? That's all? They want to change the world in the way they want. So that I said, yes, you can do that. Each individual person can change the world. You don't need 5 people to do that. Just one person with ideas. And this is the age of ideas, not money. You get the idea, it will be changing that. Money is easy. Today in social business, money is waiting. Ideas are lacking because still it's not a popular discussion point. Because we have created, many people have created social business funds. In India, they have created 2 social business funds already. Money is waiting for young people or executives to come and take the money and start social businesses. In Europe, there are 2 social businesses funds. Japan has created a social business fund through their donor agency, JICA. Because I was explaining, why are you giving this money away every year? Why don't you take 10% of your money, put it in a social business fund for each country? So that the young people, business executive, retired people, bring up their idea, their experience, create a social business to take care of healthcare, to take care of housing, take care of education, anything you want. It all can be done. It's a question of doing it. So JICA was the first country who accepted that, and they are in the process of setting it up. Within this year, they will launch it, a social business fund. And first country that they will do it will be Bangladesh, and gradually they will expand it. Islamic Development Bank has accepted that. I was talking to the World Bank, Asian Development Bank. You are giving this money, that you get whatever you get, but why don't you create a social business fund? Your money will come back, and you'll be the owner of the company, and you'll be solving the problem. You don't have to go to the government to debate, discuss, and all kinds of consultants coming and no, people know all this stuff. You don't need consultants to do that. They know what to do. It will be done. So this is the way you can create a completely new kind of world than what we have today. And in that world, I keep repeating, in that world, there will be no poor person at all, because poverty is not in the person. If you give them the chance, they will come up right away. And probably in that world, we'll be creating poverty museums. So that because there is no poverty in the world, where do you see this poverty? So we'll take our children and grandchildren to see poverty in the poverty museum, like we do to look at the dinosaurs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Yunus, for a wonderful talk. I think you lived up to your billing. That's good. It's now time for the interaction, and as Professor Yunus said at the beginning, that's the part that he looks forward to the most. We have 2 microphones, one on each side of the hall, so I'm going to take people as they queue up behind the microphones. You can ask your questions in English, in French, or in Bangla. We will take questions in all 3. And we will also take questions from cyberspace because, as I say, this is being webcast, and we have at least 2 questions already. So I'm going to lead off with a question that addresses a topic that you addressed it directly in your speech, but maybe you'd like to answer this question. And I don't know who it's from because the individual didn't identify themselves, but they say this. I work for a Canadian NGO that deals with individuals who are infected and affected by HIV/AIDS. I'd like to begin a microfinance program with our participants. In your opinion, what would be the challenges in applying the same principles to our participants versus those in the third world? That's the question from cyberspace.
Well, let me go back. It's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing that we do in Bangladesh or elsewhere, because as I was explaining, we do the same way in New York City, or we do it in Mexico City, or you do it in Guatemala or Costa Rica. We do it every place. And the system is the same. So for HIV/AIDS patients, there will be the same system. We have to find a way what kind of business they would want to be. I'm sure there's lots of things they can do. Just because they're HIV/AIDS infected doesn't mean that they're out of business, out of the world. They're still here. They have to live their life and a decent life. And microcredit can be a very useful way to get them. And on top of it, if you have social business around them to give them other issues, healthcare, in terms of good housing, good area to live, and so on and so forth, social business can be created too. So 2 things I would say: microcredit, also varieties of social business which is needed. Whatever problem you see with the HIV patients, think of a way to design a business out of it. If you cannot find a way right away, raise it in the internet. See, others will come up with an idea how to make it handle. So this is how we approach the issue. But human mind is something can conquer anything. That's what the human mind is for, to create that structure, how to handle that. Only profit was stopping us from using that. Now that we delinked it from the profit, we are open. Now we can do it in a very open way.
Thank you. Gentleman at microphone number 1.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
First of all, I know now why you won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Talking.
Dr. Yunus, I have a very simple question for you. It seems like the concept that you have applies to almost every facet in life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that is very encouraging for human beings worldwide. But the question that I have for you, since you are the powertrain of the Grameen Bank, what happens if Dr. Yunus is not around?
You'll be around. That's it. That's how it works. It's a question, it's an idea. It's not a person. What I'm proposing, that business can be redesigned, can be designed for a specific purpose of changing the situation. So if that is acceptable, our children will be reading in their textbooks. There are 2 kinds of businesses. One, to make money for myself. One, to change the world, solve the problem that I see. And the child and the young people will be discussing, what should I do when I grow up? Should I run a social business? Should I run a profit-making business? Should I work for a social business? Should I work for a profit-making business? So today there is no option. That's what I was telling. That today only thing we can tell our young people, our sons and daughters, work hard, get a job, and give your best so the shareholders make a lot of money. That's it. There's nothing else. So to feel that, no, I can do much better than that. I can change the world. And this is in my capacity. All I have to do is to design a business. I don't lose anything because if I'm working in that business, probably I will get paid for this, my work. At the same time, I'm changing the world. And if I'm an accountant, I can get a job in both ways. I can do it as a professional person. Social business will need to hire me, or profit-making business will hire me. They will pay the same salary because they're competing in the same market for me. So I'll decide, okay, if I'm getting the same salary, why don't I work for a social business? So I'll go for a social business. This is my choice. Today, that option doesn't exist. In capitalism, option is the key. But we created a system which doesn't give you option. So I'm expanding the scope of capitalism so that it becomes a better capitalism than we had. This capitalism that we have, it creates problem. It doesn't solve it. So we said we can expand it so that it becomes a balanced capitalism. Even if a problem is created, it has the capacity to solve it right there. And the creativity can be used, technology can be used, and this is at our disposal right now. Thank you.
Gentlemen at microphone 2, and could you please briefly introduce yourselves?
Yeah, hi, I'm Jimmy Desai. I'm actually originally from India, and I work here in Ottawa now. Okay. My question was to the example that you had about the Glasgow University.
Yep.
And you pointed out the issue where there's fourth-generation unemployment there. And I think one of the differences I find between, let's say, in a developed economy where you have people that are relying on welfare or just solely, I guess, to say abusing it, versus people in other developing countries. In developing countries, there's a genuine interest for the people to, they have that motivation to excel, to, bring themselves up. Whereas perhaps not those families, but in other cases, you'll find, people that abuse welfare, they actually don't have a motivation or any incentive. They simply don't want to work more. So I'm curious in learning how can you apply that principle of microfinance to those cases?
Yeah, not just microfinance. I'll use the word social business, which is a broader thing. You are right. That thing is gone. Who took it away? Welfare took it away. It was there. Yeah. Welfare took it away because welfare, like a kind of a cage you put. People in welfare, if you continue in that, it's like a bird in a cage. After a few years, you open the door of the cage, bird doesn't want to go anywhere. If it goes few steps and it comes back again, because it doesn't know how to fly, where to go, this is the place. So this is what is happening to the fourth generation. How do you expect that suddenly he comes out and becomes an entrepreneur, runs a big business? So you have to be very patient with them. When we are starting Microcredit back in 1976, when we go to the women and say, would you like to take some money? She said, no, don't give it to me. I never touch money. I never handled money in my life. Give it to my husband. So my students were very worried. Said, why are we forcing these women to take money? I said, no, we're not forcing. I said, when a woman says, I don't know what to do with money, I never touched money in my life, always remember this is not her voice. It's the voice of the history. History which created all these fears in her mind. Because she was always told from the day she was born, you are no good. You brought misery to the family. You should have been a boy. Instead, you are a daughter, which you make our life miserable because of that. So she kind of squeezes herself inside. She doesn't want to open up at all. So I said, you are starting with that history. It takes time for a person finally to realize, I can do something, a little bit. So that little bit is the important thing for us, beginning of that process. So we'll go back to this young man or young girl and create that person. Take from the shell of the welfare and say, I am as good as anybody else. I can run as big a company as anybody else runs it, no problem. So this is what will happen. It will take time, but this is the design issue. How do you design those things so that they will do that? If we can take 10 young people out of it, the process has begun. But that first 10 will take a lot of time. That's it. Thank you.
The next question comes from cyberspace, and it actually is a good follow-up to that. The question reads as follows. My name is Mary Oathwaite, and I wrote an article about the effectiveness of the Grameen Bank helping to reach the Millennium Development Goal on the eradication of poverty. Overall, I found that the benefits of the Grameen Bank outweigh the backlash that women experience in some instances when they become borrowers. Do you agree with this point of view? Can you discuss the backlash that women have faced in their communities when becoming borrowers and ways that this backlash is being addressed or can be addressed?
Let me put it this way. If you had visited Bangladesh some 30 years back, we are 40-year-old Bangladesh, suppose you had visited 30 years back, and then you go back now, the first thing that will strike you, the enormous change in the status of women, the tremendous empowerment of women in Bangladesh. Women of Bangladesh today is so far different than they were 25 years, 30 years back. So this is what impacted on them massively. So, and you can see their impact in many other facets of life. For example, birth rate in Bangladesh has dropped very sharply. And everybody is wondering what happened to Bangladesh. Why did the birth rate go down so quickly? And no matter how you structure the research, people come up with one common finding: empowerment of women. That is the cause. Our birth rate used to be 3.3% per year, population growth rate. Today it is 1.4, and it is one of the lowest in the whole region of South Asia. India and Bangladesh at par, 1.4%. And as a Muslim country, we're supposed to have a higher population growth rate because that's the usual story of it. But Bangladesh broke away from that category. They came onto a different category. So this is one, and many other things that you'll see, the impact that it has made on the women and the children because of the massive way the microcredit and other programs have expanded with Bangladesh. Yes, she's very right what she said about Millennium Development Goals.
Thanks. Veena.
My name is Veena Ravichandran. I work here with IDRC, work with the Innovation, Technology and Society Program Initiative. And your lecture has been so inspirational, so central to the program I work in. I have two questions for you. Firstly, the model that has made Grameen Bank so successful is that the fact that the low-income market is huge and there's a huge opportunity. So what happens when this market, in instances where the market is not so big, so huge? I suspect that it's the size of the market that drives the success so rapidly in such an acceleration. My second question is for all of us who are inspired and will take forward your dreams. Can you share with us where does the biggest challenges come for you? And what are those challenges? Thank you.
The whole microcredit, the idea is about eliminating the loan sharks. That's where it all started from. As long as the loan sharks continue to operate, there'll be plenty of room for Grameen program to continue. Even after they're eliminated, still, if the banks don't come forward to lend money to all people, which I'm saying that banking should be an inclusive institution so that everybody can access financial services from the banks, any banks. So it should not be kind of a exclusive club for very special kind of categories of people, which it is today. So it will be an institution which will open door for anybody. In Grameen Bank, we have deliberately reached out to the poorest person so that it demonstrated that there's nothing to be scared about the poorest person. And we have opened up also to the beggars, those who do begging from door to door, so that even that fear that you cannot lend money to a beggar, he or she will never be an entrepreneur. We demolished that myth also. We have more than 100,000 beggars in our program. And many of them have quit begging, became very independent door-to-door salesperson. Our simple idea was you're going there door-to-door anyway for begging. So why don't you carry some merchandise with you? Some cookies, some candies, some toys for the kids. It's not extra work for you. This is part of your work. So you give people option, whether they give something free, some food, some money, or buy something from you. They like that idea. So they started coming in. Initially, we thought maybe we'll have 1,000 or 2,000 beggars in the program. We ended up with 120,000 beggars. And they are enjoying it. They are taking loan, paying back, expanding their business. And many, about 20,000 beggars have stopped begging completely. It's a 4-year-old program. But within 4 years, they stop begging. These are lifelong beggars. Some are generational beggars, meaning their parents were beggars. Now they are beggars. But with a little money, changed everything. The typical starting loan will be something like $12, $15. With a $15 loan, if you can help a beggar get out of begging, why are we so stingy about doing that? Why can't we do that more? There are so many millions of beggars around the world. So this is the question. So we see the whole institution of financing has to be redesigned completely so that it's open for everybody. And challenges, of course, there are many challenges. Is the challenges of getting to the mindset. When I talk about social business, the first thing is, oh, no, people need to make profit. Otherwise, they will not go into business. I said, you know why you say that? Because the whole world is fitted with the profit-maximizing glasses. So we see the world as a profit-maximizing world. So I cannot think of, as long as I wear these glasses, profit-maximizing glasses, I can never think of doing something without making profit. So all you have to do is to take off your glasses and look at the world. You see, the world is so different. You never knew that. So the ideas have to get into the textbooks. Ideas have to go into the everyday practice. Then people say, this is just like anybody else. I can do that. This is no big deal. It's so simple idea. Why didn't you think about it before? It's so common thing. So this is the challenge, mindset, changing mindset. And then bring the technology. Today we have the most powerful technology ever human being had in their hand. And it will become more powerful tomorrow. And thereafter tomorrow. It keep on exploding in expansion. What do we do with this technology? This technology is in the hands of the business people. What do they do with it? Make money. Make money. I said, all I'm saying, why don't you open a new door? Same business people. Open a new door, use this technology to solve the problem. And this problem will be solved in no time. Because government doesn't have the technology. Government doesn't have the structure. So poor government, we are dumping everything on their shoulder. And poor politicians go back every election, yes, we're going to solve it. Please give us more time. But they can't do that. They don't have the ability. Not because they're wrong people. Simply structure doesn't allow them. For one thing, government is the slowest machine you ever built. It cannot make decisions very quickly. But individuals, I can take the decision, get it done tonight. I don't have to wait for anybody. And that's a power of individual. I can do that. I can access wherever the technology exists. I can search around and do that. And that power is now limited because the road is blocked. You cannot do that. So social business open up the door. And then suddenly it happens. In Bangladesh, what we're doing using this idea in healthcare, I'm always insisting healthcare should be delivered at home, not at the clinic, not at the hospital, so that I don't have to leave my home to get my medical attention. What we are doing, we're encouraging everybody, designing diagnostic tools. And we are working with General Electric to help us design those tools. They are working with, and many other diagnostic companies to design things. I always keep saying that it will be something like iPad. You touch, and everything happens. I used to talk about the technology is so powerful. I said, soon we should be creating Aladdin's lamp. And Aladdin's lamp for a poor woman. She will take this lamp and touch it, and digital genie will come out of it. And the genie will say, what can I do for you, ma'am? And she will say, well, I made some basket, I can't sell it. Can you find some buyers? She said, no problem, I'll get you immediately. So he will find the buyers in the global cyberspace and find all those buyers, and the deal is done, it's sold, finish. Anything can be done. Technology allows us to do that. At that time, I thought someday it will happen. Now I see it's already happened. You take iPhone, touch it, it happens. All you have to do, today I'm making this iPhone to make money. I'm making this BlackBerry, BlackBerry is your product. I'm making this BlackBerry to make money. Suppose I have made this use of this iPhone or type thing, I touch it, it tells me how to write, how to read. Nobody in the world should remain illiterate anymore. We have that capacity. So this is a sort of digital genie already here. You touch it, he gets it done. Your voice is carried, your instructions are carried, you have information, you do marketing, you do selling, you want to borrow money, you want to sell, whatever it is. It can be done. All you have to do is use our mind in that direction, not in the money-making. These are two different directions. So we are all moving in the one direction. So in the case of diagnostic services, I said, I touch it, it becomes an ultrasound machine. All we have to do, plug in the probe and take the images, and immediately it's transmitted to the expert who's sitting in the city. He may be in Dhaka city, he may be in Ottawa city, wherever he is. Distance doesn't make any difference anymore, whether you are in Dhaka or in Ottawa or any place else, or Beijing, or in a remote village, because it's the same thing. You watch it on the screen and you talk to the mother on the phone. You don't worry. Everything is okay. Your child is doing well. You take care of yourself. This is what you do every day. Fine. If she has a difficulty, you take care of this. I'll come back on Monday again. I'll talk to you on Monday and see what we can do for you. Why does she have to go to the clinic to stand in line, spend so much time? If she is in a remote village, she can't do. Every equipment can be done in this little gadget, every single equipment. Because after all, that's what the nanotechnology is all about. That's what we got today. But we are not putting, we have a mega machine, very impressive machine, so that I can write a big bill, send you a big bill so that you give me big money. I make big money. That's the only intention. Otherwise, this whole big machine can be converted into a tiny little thing. And you can carry it in your pocket. Whenever you need, you can use it. So we are saying that we can use this little gadgets, bring all the diagnostic services and connection with the doctors, relevant doctors, so that you can make. So doctors don't have to go anywhere. They stay with their chamber, talk to the patient, see the patient, get all the information, all the images, and prescribe and carry it out. This is what the health service should be. So we are campaigning for that healthcare service, and hopefully we'll make it happen. Today we have done a lot of those healthcare services in Bangladesh, and we are also building up nursing colleges so that the nurse practitioners can go in the villages, work there. We are taking the girls from Grameen families, the poor families, illiterate families. Their children now are educated. We are keeping them in the nursing college so that they become graduate nurses and work in Bangladesh, work someplace else. In the process, they change their family, change their village. Because if a nurse goes outside, earns $1,000, $1,500 a month, send this home, entire village girls who are there say, I want to be a nurse when I grow up. So she works very hard so that she'll be a nurse and she'll be working someplace else, send money. So today, more than 100,000 nurses are needed in the world. Nobody's applying. So I said, we have plenty of girls in Bangladesh, let's train them up. So we set up the first nursing college as a social business in collaboration with the Glasgow Caledonian University. Second nursing college is on the way out, the Emory College in Atlanta, as a joint venture, Grameen Emory Nursing College as a social business. Third nursing college will set up with McGill. I'm coming back here again in McGill this end of this month to sign up this deal with them, a joint venture between McGill and Grameen McGill Nursing College in Bangladesh. First, we want to do 10 nursing colleges producing 1,000 nurses every year, but we need 100,000 every year. So this is the beginning. Why should the girls be sitting around while people need this service and they are ready to pay? Some of them ready to pay, send you the visa right away as soon as you have got your degree. In some countries saying we give you citizenship if you come and work for us. Such a need for it, but people are getting married, having children. They don't know that these things exist. And it can be done in a social business way. The whole nursing college will be financing itself. It doesn't need to get money from the government or CEDA or anybody else. It can have enough money to run it from themselves. We give them the education loan to the young girls who come to this nursing college. They pay us back when they get the job and when they are doing their business. So this is what the challenge, mindset, technology, open up, creativity, that's all.
Microphone number 2, please.
Thank you for your talk. My name is Aisha Ahmed. I'm a PhD student at McGill University in political science.
Okay, we'll be working together.
Yes. I really like this idea of creativity meeting a problem and this problem solving turning into a friendlier free market that you're describing. But what I'm a little confused about is when you have an idea meeting an opportunity, you need startup capital. So where does that startup capital come from that can allow that idea to come to fruition?
Today we have created social business funds. And as I was mentioning, we have 2 social business funds already waiting in India, looking for people to apply, to get funded, to put investment into those projects. And we have persuaded Japan, as I was mentioning, to create their first donor-funded social business in Bangladesh, taking money out of their own funding to create as a fund to go into social business. So that's a third one. And the one coming up with Islamic Development Bank, again, that's a fourth one. There are 2 in the process of announcement this year in Europe. So the money is preceding the work.
Okay.
So we shouldn't be complaining. Okay. Already money is waiting. And I'm sure Canada will soon create a social business fund too, don't they? I think so. I think so. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. We don't need a minister for that. We do it ourselves. No problem, yeah. Okay.
Okay, we have a question in French from cyberspace, from Pierre-Jacques Ville, and I'll translate for you. What is the rate of interest that is applied by your bank? That's question number 1. Do you loan to the agricultural sector, number 2? And what's the highest amount of money that you lend to a client?
Okay. The highest amount in book would be about $6,000, a single loan. Average loan would be about $200. On the interest rate on our deposits, we give starting from 12% interest on deposits to all the way down to 8.5%. So that's the range of interest that we pay. You would like to put, I know. Come over. And on the client side, on the borrower side, highest interest rate is 20%. And then the next interest rate is 8%. Our minimum deposit rate is 8.5%. But we charge 8% on housing loan. So we lose money on that one. On education loan, I talked a lot about education loan. On education loan, while you are still in school, 0 interest rate. When you finish school and start earning, then interest begin at 5%. So we lose a lot of money on that one too, because our cost of fund would be around 10% plus. So we are buying money at 10% plus, selling it as less than 5% in case of education loan, and less than 8% in the case of housing loan. And for beggars, I mentioned the beggar loan, it's 0%. We don't charge any interest to the beggar, so that they don't feel threatened by the loan. It remains constant. Whatever you have taken, that's exactly the amount you pay back. And there's no time limit for beggars, so that they don't feel, or nobody can tell you that you are a defaulter. If you have a time limit, then you're not defaulter, lifetime. It's okay. And they pay back, because once you pay back, and you get more money. So they keep on paying back, so to get to more money and expand their business. So this is on the interest rate. Yes, since our entire Grameen Bank is a rural operation, we don't have any branches in any city, any town, any municipal area. This is by law, we cannot operate in all these areas. But we work in the rural areas. In the rural areas, so obviously rural profession is agriculture. So whatever you do is related to agriculture. Bulk of our money goes into livestock. About 40% of our loans go into livestock, raising cows, etc., and some to poultry. These are the 2 popular items. People like it very easy. You buy a cow, pay back the loan by selling milk, and then it's over. And these 2 cows is yours. and you take another loan, buy another cow, pay back the loan, selling milk, and it's all yours. And people love that because immediately you feel that you have accumulating some assets by doing that. So this is agriculture. And there are many other things like crop, vegetables, and so on and so forth. So since it's a rural situation, some part of processing, like basket making, clothes, sewing clothes, and that sort of thing. Otherwise, it's very much related to agricultural activity.
You'll forgive me if I have to translate that for Mr.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry for that. Yeah.
Alors, Monsieur Ville.
Mr. Ville, the maximum loan is $6,000. The average one is $200. The interest rate on 8.5 to 12%. The interest rate for normal loans of 8 to 20%, except for the school loans that are at 0. As long as the student stays in school, and when this kid leaves school, it goes to 5%. Yes, in agriculture, the Grameen Bank only works in rural areas, and so the majority of loans are given to the agriculture sector, about 40% to the chicken and to the beef.
I like your definition of social enterprise: no loss, no dividend. Now, my question is in between. So you have social enterprise, and then you have profit-making business. And I want to look at this concept without it being mutually exclusive. So Adidas may do shoes for everybody, but what does Adidas do for their own fiduciary, in terms of their own fiduciary responsibility? And how do we change this idea? I know people use the word corporate social responsibility, but where is this transition from social business, I'm operating a social business, to I'm operating a profit-making business, but with social aims also, and we distinguish between like fiduciary responsibility and citizenship or stakeholders. How do you see that transformation happening? As I think what...
I'm trying to understand what you're saying. You want to move from social business to profit-making? Or profit-making to social? Which way?
Well...
No, I'm just understanding.
Okay, so right now we have a system of profit-making business. Sure. And there are new concepts of social business.
That's right.
But profit-making business is also moving towards being more CSR, more reporting, following higher standards. How do we make this not mutually exclusive? You either work in the social side of it, no losses, no dividends. But those who do make dividends, how are they responsible to add to the social good? And how do you think we can build that movement within...
Today we have only one kind of business, which is driven by profit motive. Maximization profit is the goal, is the mission of business. The rest is just window dressing. You call it corporate social responsibility. I take some money after I made the profit, take some chunk of money, say, okay, this is for charity. My mission has not changed. The rest of it, social responsibility, yes, I give a little bit of more bits from you, from my profit. That's all. But because it is your responsibility for the shareholders to maximize your profit. In USA, there is a law, I don't know whether it exists in Canada, if you're not making best of profit, any shareholder can sue you. As simple as that. So that's the direction. Rest you just, because people feel uncomfortable, you give a little bit of this, sprinkle of this, little flavor here, little flavor there. But the basic mission runs in that direction.
And what about changing social processes or business processes to be more...
That's you have to do. I do the social business. You can make it more humane, more other things. You do that. I'm not dismissing that. You see, people call it responsible capitalism, sensitive capitalism, people-friendly capitalism, lots of things, but you don't give up your profit motive. I said, here you come, no profit motive. Totally delinked. The moment you're delinked from profit making, whole world would become different. You are completely free. A profit-making company will never come to take 10 welfare people out of welfare. Never. Because his whole idea is to make profit. And he creates jobs. That's not his objective. Objective is making profit. In order to make profit, he had to need some people. And he needs those people very specific way. What kind of people you need for your business. So profit is the objective. These are needed tools to get you there. In social business, creating the jobs for our entrepreneurship for these 10 people is the objective. So I cannot move away from these 10 people. Then we design a whole business on the basis of these 10 people. Not what I need. I need these 10 people to get out. So I make the whole thing and say, don't worry about money. If I'm investing here as a profit maker, even if I'm taking 10 people out of welfare, I will think this should be something that I have to bring in a way that these people will give me enough profit, which is 30% return on an investment. If it is below 30%, I'm not interested. In social business, I'm not interested in 30%. I'm good with 0%, as long as money comes back. I don't need a return on my investment. So from 0% to 30%, this is open space. No profit maker will ever enter this space. This is an enormous space for creating any kind of job anywhere. So that's the space I'm talking about. This is very different. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time here. But I'll take one more question from microphone 2 and another from cyberspace.
Okay, hello. Thank you for such a fantastic lecture. My name is Shannon Sutton. I'm with Transfer Canada, which is a national fair trade NGO. And within fair trade, we've seen a huge increase in the number of microcredit programs at producer cooperatives in the Global South over the past few decades. And I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit about the importance of the cooperative model for social business.
I don't know how it will work, cooperative model, meaning that the people will jointly own this social business?
Or perhaps more about the roots of the microcredit movement and women forming associations and coming together.
Yeah, but we call them associations, we call them centers, we call them groups, we don't call them cooperatives.
Okay, so the associations. And I guess the importance of solidarity.
Yeah, it's very important for microcredit purposes.
Yeah.
But social business is, Danone doesn't need a cooperative in its business. You do that, you convert the milk into yogurt. But there may be some cooperative of milk producers who will supply the milk to the company to process it. So wherever it needs, if it is convenient, if it's helpful, definitely it can be done. But it needs a time and place. How to do? Somebody asked me, how do you sell your shoes? If there's a cooperative to sell shoes, that's fine. That's one marketing part. Marketing part will become very important. And one person, very important person in business world was just asking me last night that we can do anything marketing, because the problem is it costs only $1 to produce it. By the time I sell it to the consumer, it costs $10 because of the marketing. Because that's where all the money goes. So I don't mind selling it at $1 if you can pick it up from me. But the moment it has to be done in the way the marketing chain goes, by the end of the chain, it becomes $10. And we have another case, which is again a social business example, which I'll give you in this connection. We were drawn into a case of Ghana. Ghana produces a nut called Shianet, which is bought by cosmetic companies like L'Oreal to make the shea butter, which is so valuable for women to have their skin and everything. And it's a very valued product produced by cosmetic companies. These shea nuts are not produced by farmers. This is naturally grown in the forest and just drops on the ground or just pick it from the trees. So it's a poor women who dare into these forests and collect these nuts from the forest, from the trees, from the ground, and so on, and bring it. And the buyers come to their houses, they buy it up. And this then go through a chain of middlemen. When it comes to L'Oreal, they pay a very high price, because by this time it came to a very high price. Only a fraction of that price went into the real collector of this shea. So when I was told in a meeting, I said this can be a good subject for social business. All we have to do is create a business in between, take these nuts and sell it directly to the L'Oreal or such company, and take the money and go pay back the money to the producer, minus the cost of handling it to the ultimate company. Then I would say, yeah, we should try that. So we are now in the process of creating that company. So I met the CEO of L'Oreal. So we are having lunch together, and I said, this is my intention of meeting you. I want to sell this nuts to you. Would you buy it from me at the price that you pay to others? I said, you'll be my #1 priority. I'll buy as much as you can give because I'm buying it anyway. If that money goes to this poor women, I'll be very delighted that I have helped some women to have a decent life because they worked hard and you contacted me. So this is the space for social business. So this is on one way. If you can call the cooperatives or something, if it helps to get the producer to get good price, that's fine. That's wonderful. Yeah.
And our final question, coming in through the internet from Bill Coe, president of SID. And it's perhaps an appropriate capstone question for our whole afternoon. What's the hardest obstacle to overcome in convincing people that social enterprise is a viable way of doing things?
First, I'll not use the word social enterprise because there's lots of confusing terminology here. Social enterprise, social entrepreneurship, social responsibility. That's why I'm deliberately keeping this social business so that we know what we are talking about. It's all question of you're doing it. You don't need anybody's advice. You don't need anybody's consultation. If you want to do it, go ahead and do it. That's it. There's nothing to be done. I mean, if you need a partner to find the money or persuade a company to be partner with you, go ahead and do that. But it is up to you to decide, an individual to decide, this is what I'm going to do. That's all. Nothing else. Thank you.
Professor Yunus, you used a phrase early on in your talk that I really liked, using your creative mind. We here at Canada's International Development Research Centre value the spirit of innovation. We value the creativity of the human mind, and we value the innovations and the progress that can come from using the creative mind. And that's why we're so delighted that you've been able to come here. You've given us a great talk. We know you're a very busy man, but the fact that you took time out to come here is much appreciated by me, by the staff and governors of IDRC, and by our whole audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.